The scene opens with two young men by a pond playfully fighting over control of a drone. In the scuffle, the drone spirals out of control and crashes into the water, but its camera captures something chilling beneath the surface: a submerged car with a dead woman behind the wheel. The shocking discovery leaves the two frozen in disbelief. As usual, Koretic and Morgan are assigned to the case by Selena. When they arrive at the scene, they're briefed on the situation. The victim, a Jane Doe, was found with a gunshot wound to the chest inside a car registered to Tori Nolan, a 31-year-old woman. According to DMV records, it appears the vehicle may have been stolen by the victim. However, Morgan isn't convinced. She suggests that the victim and Tori Nolan are actually the same person, noting signs that the woman had cosmetic work done on her face, perhaps to change her appearance or to hide from someone. Koretic observes that the victim's bullet wounds were caused by a small caliber weapon, possibly a .380. They also note that the victim has steam burns resembling chemical burns, as well as red stains on her clothing and skin that appear to be dye rather than blood. During the search of Tori's car, they discover that all the vehicle's windows are missing. They also find a set of keys to a storage unit. Morgan then notices that, although most of the dashboard is dry, water is still dripping from somewhere. Upon closer inspection, she uncovers a hidden compartment containing a handgun. Now the team is left wondering. Not only had the victim changed her appearance, but she had also felt the need to keep a gun hidden in her car. The team tracks down the storage unit using the key they found in Tori's car. Inside, they discover stacks of boxes with mysterious labels. While searching further, Koretic finds one box containing several passports from different countries, each matching the labels on the boxes. Morgan begins to connect the dots, theorizing that every place Tori had traveled was linked to a major scandal. She points out that Crystal Lake suffered a massive E. coli outbreak caused by faulty water pipes in July 2018, and that in late 2003, an American au pair agency was secretly running a human trafficking ring out of Cambodia. Morgan then shows Koretic a series of red symbols, the same kind used as editing marks, and explains that the numbers correspond to dates and magazine issue numbers. She concludes that Tori must have been an investigative reporter, and that her latest big story might have been what got her killed. Welcome back to Sandy's Timeline. Today, we're diving into High Potential Season 2, Episode 5, and trust me, you won't want to miss this one. Hit that subscribe button so you're always in the loop for our next wild recap. Let's dive in. Through their research, the team discovers that Tori worked as a journalist for Takedown magazine, an online publication best known for its hard-hitting exposés. According to her editor, Tori always wrote under a pseudonym after a traumatic incident in college. One of her investigative articles led to her being doxxed, with her private information leaked publicly. The experience was so severe that she eventually dropped out of school. Her editor also mentions that he had no knowledge of Tori's latest project, though that wasn't unusual for her. However, as part of protocol, she was always required to send a proof of life photo whenever she went undercover. When Morgan zooms in on Tori's most recent photo, she notices that the nail polish color perfectly matches the one Tori was wearing when she died, with no visible nail growth, suggesting the picture was taken very recently. Looking closer at the background, Morgan spots a cluster of puddle dog plants. When asked how she's certain of the location, she explains that there had been a recent fire in the area, and puddle dog bushes are parasitic plants that thrive in high-heat environments. The timing and growth patterns align perfectly. Following the lead, the team heads to the area seen in the image, and there they discover something unexpected. The property is a content house. When the team arrives at the property, they're greeted by one of the content creators, who immediately recognizes Tori, but knows her as Darla, one of the creators who had been living in the house. The investigators gather the rest of the group and learn that Darla had been staying there for a few weeks. Everyone describes her as friendly and well-liked. She had been making ASMR videos, though her channel wasn't gaining much traction. The others mention they last saw her a day or two ago, but admit that time often blurs together when they're busy filming. When asked if anyone might have wanted to harm her, the creators insist that while their public lifestyle attracts the occasional creepy comment, they never believed anyone would actually hurt her. While searching one of the creators' rooms, the team discovers red dye, the same substance found on Tori's clothes and skin, which immediately raises suspicion. Suddenly, 3 of the creators burst into the room and confess to killing her, but their shock at learning she was shot suggests they might not fully understand what really happened. The creators explained that Tori had left the house on Wednesday to run her usual errands. Knowing she would be in her car, they decided to pull a prank on her, the Devil's Toothpaste Challenge, which involves mixing dye and reactive chemicals to create an explosive foam. Unfortunately, the stunt went terribly wrong, causing the car to blow up and seriously injuring Tori. When asked if they checked on her afterward, they claim they didn't. Instead, they contacted Phineas, the man who manages the content house. This revelation helps the team connect several dots. The steam burns on Tori's body likely came from the chemical reaction, and the lack of blood in her car may have been due to the peroxide in the mixture cleaning up any traces. When questioned about why they would stage such a dangerous prank, the creators admit they were angry at Tori. They accuse her of stealing a tub of Live Laugh and Lift protein powder, an exclusive promotional product one of them was supposed to feature. Since she was the only influencer in the country to receive the L3 formula before its official launch, the sponsorship was a huge deal that could have boosted her channel. They believe Tori took it to sabotage her, especially since Tori's own channel hadn't been performing well. Phineas is brought in for questioning and confronted with the theory that he might have killed Tori, especially after learning she was actually a reporter. He seems genuinely confused as to why she was at the content house in the first place. Investigators present his financial records, which reveal that he's been exploiting the creators for personal profit. Despite claiming the house operates on tight budgets, Phineas owns a $200,000 sports car and several seasonal homes in Ibiza. On top of that, he takes nearly $50,000 from each creator, supposedly for housing and expenses, a figure that's clearly excessive. As Morgan observes him from behind the glass, she notices something odd about his watch: corrosion on the metal. She points out that this type of damage only occurs when titanium comes into contact with concentrated peroxide, indicating that Phineas had direct contact with Tori after the car explosion. Confronted with this evidence, Phineas confesses, but only to moving Tori's body, insisting he didn't kill her. He explains that there was so much foam from the chemical blast that he didn't even realize she'd been shot until he reached the pond. When asked why he moved her at all, he admits he panicked. The landlord had been trying to evict the content house for months because the neighbors hated them, and he feared that a death on the property would shut everything down for good. To prove his innocence, Phineas claims he was in his office at the time, buying online bots to boost Tori's channel engagement, something he insists he wouldn't have done if he'd been planning to get rid of her. Since Phineas was still considered an accomplice to Tori's death, he was booked but agreed to cooperate with the investigation. In exchange, he handed over Tori's bag, which he had kept hidden to prevent anyone from identifying her. Inside the bag, the team discovers the protein powder that Raquel, one of the creators, had claimed Tori stole. But the discovery doesn't add up. Tori never posted about the product on her channel, and she wasn't the type to obsess over views or sabotage another creator. This leads the team to suspect that the protein powder itself was actually the focus of her investigation. While digging deeper, Morgan uncovers something crucial. Back in college, the classmate who leaked Tori's private information, the one responsible for her being doxxed, was a man named Robert Romano. When she examines the protein powder bottle more closely, she notices a photo of the company's owner, who goes by Bobby. The realization hits her. Robert Romano and Bobby are the same person. Tori wasn't stealing the powder, she was investigating him. At the factory, Bobby is surprisingly thrilled to see the investigators. He enthusiastically talks about how his new protein powder is going to revolutionize the fitness world and doesn't seem the least bit concerned about their visit. In fact, he even offers to give them a tour of the facility. Inside, they meet Lamar, who is noticeably more tense and clearly uncomfortable with their presence. When questioned, Bobby admits he knows exactly who Tori was. She had previously exposed him for wire fraud. He acknowledges that what he did back in school was wrong and claims he regrets it deeply. When the team informs him of Tori's death, Bobby reveals that she had called him about 3 weeks earlier, threatening to take him down for good. He says he hung up on her and insists he hasn't seen or spoken to her since. Upon checking his whereabouts, Morgan confirms that Bobby was at a gym across town at the time of Tori's murder, providing him with a solid alibi. The next stop for the team is the halfway house, where Bobby had stayed after his release from prison. The supervisor there describes Bobby as one of the most enthusiastic and driven people he'd ever met, ambitious, especially when it came to his dream of launching his own protein powder brand. When asked about Tori, the man recalls that she once showed up at Bobby's company, telling him she had enough evidence to destroy his product launch and bring down his entire business. He also mentions something odd. One morning, Bobby missed a mandatory group session. When the supervisor called to check on him, Bobby sounded panicked and agitated, saying things like, "I should have taken care of it 10 years ago." The statement immediately struck him as suspicious. Following this lead, the team heads to Bobby's residence, only to find him dead from an apparent overdose. When investigators search Bobby's company, they uncover a large quantity of drugs disguised as L3 protein powder, leading them to suspect that the business was being used to traffic narcotics across the country. Even more damning, they find the same type of weapon used to kill Tori, seemingly confirming Bobby's guilt. However, Morgan isn't convinced. She believes Bobby was framed for both Tori's murder and his own overdose. She points out that when they visited him earlier, he was open, enthusiastic, and eager to show them around, not the behavior of someone running a major drug operation. She also recalls that the stain on his shirt looked like a drip of soup, something that hadn't been there during their first visit. Morgan theorizes that Bobby ate shortly before his death, likely consuming soup laced with drugs. When the team searches his office, they find no soup containers in the trash, suggesting a cleanup. But when they inspect the sink drain, they discover a piece of carrot and a half-melted capsule of Dazzle Kitty, a dangerous party drug. This confirms that the drug was mixed into his food, meaning either Bobby poisoned himself or someone else did it for him. To Morgan, it's clear. Someone killed Bobby to make it look like a suicide and to frame him for Tori's murder, a perfect way to close both cases at once. Initially, suspicion falls on Lamar, who admits that he and Bobby had been in prison at the same time and supposedly reconnected afterward to traffic drugs. But when the team checks, they find this story is a lie. Records show Bobby had no involvement in the drug operation, and Lamar provides solid alibis proving he wasn't connected to either death. The real mastermind turns out to be Galvin, Bobby's halfway supervisor. He had learned about Tori's investigation and knew she was staying at the Content House. Galvin shot her to stop her from exposing the operation. Later, when Bobby called him after the police visit, likely panicked that the investigation was closing in, Galvin realized Bobby had become a liability. He poisoned Bobby's soup with Dazzle Kitty, killing him and erasing the last loose end. By the time the team had gone to question Bobby, he was already dead, his death staged as an overdose, neatly wrapping up Galvin's crimes in one tragic cover-up. In the end, justice is served, but not without a trail of deception, betrayal, and ambition gone too far. What started as a simple car explosion unraveled into a deadly secret that cost 2 lives. Thanks for tuning in to Sandy's Timeline. Make sure to subscribe for more gripping recaps and theories, because every mystery deserves to be untangled.